Climbers, did you know that Michelangelo initially turned down the opportunity to paint the Sistine Chapel because he didn't feel that he was good? He had self-doubt. He felt he was a sculptor, not a painter. We all deal with self-doubt, and our guest today has overcome incredible hurdles, challenges, obstacles, and self-doubt, like deformed feet, a speech impediment, a nearly fatal chicken house fan accident, a nearly fatal car accident, and cancer, to go on to win the coveted Super Bowl ring as a strength coach for the Seattle Seahawks. If you battle self-doubt, you do not want to miss this episode. Welcome to The Climb! This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. Leverage is what you're going to need. It's just not about your talent anymore. You've got to prove that your talent has value and that you can make the needle move on your own. Whether you're a singer or a songwriter, an indie artist, or an indie musician, you got to lay it down. You got to leave no doubt that this is where you're headed, so everybody else can see that, and then they will come out of the woodwork to help you and move you forward. So we called it The Climb, C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business. That's a Baxternym from my good friend and co-host, Mr. Brent Baxter, who also happens to be an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols, and more. A couple number ones in Southern Gospel the last 2-3 years. He's got a top 40 recently in Australian radio, still making miracles happen. What I love about Mr. Brent Baxter is he helps songwriters like you turn pro by revealing how you write like a pro, do business like a pro, and then on the regular, he gives you opportunities to connect with the pros so that you can begin to monetize all that work that you did. You can find Brent very easily on songwritingpro.com. Once again, that's songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. If you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That is production, singular, no S, and there is no S because there is no other. Johnny D. What's up, brother?
Oh my God, dude, I'm stoked about our guest
I would say your intro, you had me at Chicken House fan incident. And growing up in Arkansas, I'm surprised this is the first person I know of that has survived a Chicken House fan accident. So,
do you
like,
know?
we're hitting close to home.
Is this a regular thing? Chicken House?
No,
fans?
I'm just sure there were many more of them. I'm just
chopping people's heads off.
You know, I don't know, but I'm surprised I've not heard of more of this actually growing up.
Oh my God! Well, listen, this guest that we're going to bring on today, y'all, is like as we're looking at him right now, he's got the Super Bowl, he's got the Lombardi Trophy right there, right in the back. Has become a friend of mine. I'm proud to say through the whole Josh Royce circle. They're neighbors to Josh's manager, and so we always end up spending time together over cocktails. And I got to wear the Super Bowl ring, and
yes.
I just can't wait to bring this person on. And he's got a new book out called Move or Die. That is, I think every artist, every songwriter needs to read this book. I mean, this is one of those life changers, and it's not even that big, right? It's not that huge of a book. But before we get to him, and we'll introduce them, let's take care of a little business here. Join the Climb community. If you haven't done so, it's at facebook.com/groups/The Climb community. You have to ask to be let in. We let everybody in. And as long as you just put everything where it's supposed to be put, and you're not trying to spam the crap out of us, you shan't be roadhoused out. But we will if you do. So, one of the things we do is we celebrate. We want to hear about everything. Your new music coming out. We want to hear about your gigs. We want to hear about your wins. And we always share the wins, or at least a couple of them, on the show. So what do we got today?
Yeah, a couple of our new heights. Recently, one is from climber Paul DeMarco, friend of the Climb, former guest, actually, on the show. Says, it was great being on Brent's Play for Publisher event, and even better for Michael August to love the song Kay Williams and I wrote, Opening Doors. So that's awesome. Yeah, Paul and Kay and Chad Williams, I believe was his name. They wrote a song that made it to the songwritingpro.com's Play for Publisher event with Michael August of Demolition Music. And he thought it was cool as all get out. I did too. That's why I put it in the top 10. And so he wants to follow up and hear more of their stuff. So good on you. Good on you,
Way to
Paul.
go to
The song is a
Marco. I
jam.
love it,
The song is
man.
a jam. It's called
Yeah, I
I
love that guy.
won't give anything away. I'll wait till y'all hear it on the radio.
He's a
Or
grinder.
TV
That's for our
show.
guest on the show. This guy's DeMarco's a grinder. He
Yeah,
grinds.
love it.
Uh,
Did me so
that
good to see Michael August, the publisher be like, yes,
yeah,
yes. I'm like, yeah, like these like the kids are doing good, like so I'm like
please,
rooting for
please.
him, like you better like this. Come on, get one for Paul. Yes. Okay. So anyway, it's all good. Let's see. We'll get another one here real quick. So this one is from climber Carrie Edwards, and said this one's kind of funny. I took my looper / harmonizer out of the box. It's been in since I ordered it 3 months ago. I get intimidated by technology and buttons and stuff. So I finally put on my big girl pants and set it up and started playing around with it. I watched some YouTube tutorials and I'm getting there. I haven't quite gotten the sound of it out of it yet I was hoping for, so I'm not ready to take it to gigs, but I'm sure it's possible. I just have to embrace making the time to learn it. So Carrie, that is awesome. You gotta go through the grind to get to the good stuff. So I'm proud of you. So Carrie Edwards, Paul DeMarco, congrats and keep on climbing.
All right, I love it. Well, let's just, hey man, follow the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, tell a friend about it. Let's get down to business here.
Mm-hmm.
Our guest today, as I said, has overcome incredible hurdles. Started out as a high school. Well, first of all, went to school on a scholarship for football after they told him he'd never run because he had a foot deformities when he was born. I think both feet, if I'm not mistaken, and he's had worked his way up to being football coaches, then into strength coaching at USC, battled several almost life-ending accidents, cancer, specifically Hodgkin's disease, ends up with Pete Carroll at USC, turns that team around and does like an incredible job, which leads them both to carry on to Seattle Seahawks, gets a Super Bowl ring. Please welcome to the show. He's now a motivational speaker and an author. Everybody, Chris Carlisle. Welcome to the Climb.
Hey guys, Chris. Thanks for having me. Thanks for that. I learned a lot just in that 7 minutes right there. That was pretty
cool. What about yourself? Man. You forgot all that?
Busy.
Man, I'm already ready to run through a wall. So
I went to the University of Tennessee. I coached at the University of Tennessee when they won the national championship there also.
Okay,
so
now
I got a little Tennessee roots.
I got to tell you, I'm an Arkansas fan. I was just talking to someone yesterday about the 98 game, the Clint Sterner and the fumble. We should have had y'all. Never should. I guess their strength and conditioning was just a hair better.
That was the difference. That
must have been the difference.
I was at the University of Arkansas too. I got my master's degree from the University of Arkansas.
Oh, woo pig, baby!
I've got my wife's from Arkansas.
Okay, see, you're all good now. You're in the family.
My wife's from Carlisle, so and nice. We say it right. We don't say Blytheville.
No,
Blytheville. It's on the east side, just an hour north of Memphis, and we used to go down to Memphis in May and the Blues Festival in June.
Mm-hmm.
And then, during the time we'd hang out on Beale Street. What an amazing, fell in love with the blues on Beale Street, and the gentlemen on the street corners with just a small little amp and a speaker, and they were just playing what they loved, and how cool is that? When you get to watch people do, they were making dollar here, dollar there, but they were doing it because it was their passion. How about that? And how many people play music because I get paid for it, and not because this is my passion? I'll do this stuff for free. I talk about my career. They paid my wife so I could go do what I did. I'm not kidding about it. You ask my wife, she'll tell you, I have no idea how much money I made during my career. The contract, I would sign it because somebody said, well, we're going to give you money. Great. Do I get to work with the athletes? Do I get to? That's what there was no got to in me.
Yeah.
There was a get to opportunity that was going to help people achieve their dreams. Think about what you do, Johnny. Think about what you do, Brent. Every day, you're helping people move along their path to accomplish their dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's no better job. Well, I don't even call it a job. Who works anymore? I mean, this is great.
That's awesome. We were just on the podcast the other day that dropped, I guess, a couple of weeks ago at this point, but the seed, the song, and the songwriter, about a lot of the time, the pay is getting to do more of the work. That's the pay. Sure. The other stuff, feeds the family. But for me, the pay is you get to do it again. Sweet.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah,
feeling
And
you
what
and
there.
my wife, so you know, she was happy. She had a beautiful house, and she had, you know, all this stuff. And so when I came home to my space, you know, then she was happy. Well, you know, happy wife, happy life. My life was amazing.
That's
Still is.
awesome.
I'm
That's
doing
That's
what I
awesome.
right.
want to
Lovely
do.
line too. They live right across the street, man. We've had a lot of late nights over whiskeys, talking about everything under the sun, man. And
Amen.
I mean, you know how hyped up I get, how motivated I get, and it's just I was just felt so motivated being around Chris. I'm like, dude, you've got to be on the podcast because everything that you talk about is directly applicable to anybody chasing a dream. But we're specifically speaking to songwriters, to indie artists, and you know, it's becoming more and more. There's less and less gatekeepers that are standing in the way of an artist who wants to make a decent living
Mm-hmm.
doing what they were born to do. It used to be you needed a couple big pieces of permission to really reach the audience, and now you don't. So what's left is the artists and the songwriters getting in their own way. That's
Mm-hmm.
the only thing keeping them from doing what they want to do, and that's exactly what this book is about. Move or die. I love the way you put things in there. Where was amazing, and I love some of the quotes that you use in this book. Just like hit me over the head because I had never heard them before. But that one from Martina Navratilova, the difference between involvement and commitment is like ham and eggs. The chicken is involved, the pig is committed.
I've heard that before. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, are you committed to doing this?
How many people are committed to their passion, their career, their life?
Yeah,
Or is it
Mm-hmm.
something they do on the side?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It's a hobby. Well, if it's a
Right.
hobby, fine. Then go work your 8 to 5 and do that, and then
Mm-hmm.
go do your hobby. But if you have a passion, if this consumes you, then do what it takes to become, and not just good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we talk about good enough? Be the best.
hmm
Yep.
Change the industry. Just sitting and talking with Johnny when he's been in town, uh, we talked about how radio is dying, and the key is now social media. And I have found people. I mean, Ashley Cook, Chauncey Jones, Warren
hmm
Ziders. You know, people that I found on social media. Not
Mm-hmm.
listen to radio because I listen to my own music.
yep,
You're right.
You know, I already have my phone synced in. I have my own playlist I want to listen to. But when I get on the internet, because my web person, Cecilia Roy, said, you've got to be part of social media. When she put me into that, then all of a sudden I found all these great artists, and I've got like 7,000 songs downloaded, you know, already. I can't play an instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in choir in 8th grade, Mr. Wiley heard that I wasn't in tune, so he put me between Rod Coyne and Scott Gahn, and they were the best singers in school, and I threw them off tune. And so we were singing.
I'm
The
feeling
Night
you, brother.
Chicago
I'm
Died,
feeling you.
and Night Chicago Died. There's a siren, and so he had like a synthesizer where I had to push a button. I couldn't even keep tempo with that. So he said, "Here, go stand in the back and just move your lips, but don't sing." All right, but I love music. It's amazing. When I work, I can't have music that has a memory to it because I'll get lost in the memory. So I play a lot of more, meditational music that I have
Mm-hmm.
no connection to, so I
Yep.
can go ahead and write. Because if a song comes on that I have something tied to, I'll stop and start thinking about the moment that song came on and what I was doing at that time. You know, that's
Yeah.
what music does to me. It lifts me, it drives me, it pushes me forward. So
yeah.
I love what you guys do. I'm just a huge fan of music of any genre, and just you guys are just pushing the ball forward. I love it.
Can
Oh,
you start to see like the kind of conversations we're having now? Like with he's known Josh for a long time, and
Mm-hmm.
Dennis and Diana Petty, who are Josh's
Mm.
managers, and this is the stuff we're talking about. You know, we're seeing Josh, who's been making his living as an artist for quite a while now, but he plateaued right a little bit, and then it's time to get scared again and
Mm.
and reach
Good.
out and get into the deeper end of the gene pool, which he did, and that was, that was my our first meeting. That's what I wanted to see. It was straight up, was he going to move or die? Like
Right.
I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to see what he had in him, and so we took him two places. I took him to the Music World Freak show, where he's going to see just a slew of artists that were going to be way better than he is right now
Yeah.
on his journey, and then to a live recording session where and they were having some frustrations with their recording process down in Arizona, which is where Chris resides from. And you know, I want to see, like, is he going to fold, or is he going to be like,
Mhm.
oh, is this where the bar's at? Oh hell, I can do that. You know, like, hold on a
Yeah.
second, hold my beer. And that's exactly what he did. You know, he had that fight in him, he had that desire in him, and that
Gotta have that dog in
self-confidence.
you.
You know,
Yeah.
like you talked about that in your book the first time you met. I'm brain farting on his name now, but your quarterback for Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
Like,
and Russ came in. Russ was 5'10" and 3/4. He's not even 5'11" in a league that's dominated by 6'5" quarterbacks.
mm-hmm.
And the thing that he had different was that he's a winner. And all he wanted to know was, when he sat down with me, was, did he have a chance with me? You know, am I giving him a chance, or am I shutting the door on him? And I
Just
said,
because of his height, right?
I don't have a dog in the hunt. All right.
Mhm.
You know, so I'm here to lift you as far as you want to be lifted. And he took it and ran. And he's struggling with the Broncos right now. Hey, they fired their coach after 1 year. They've got issues internally. It's not Russ. It's everything around him that's not working, because Russ is a tremendous, not only quarterback, but a human being.
Yeah.
The whole
And hey,
mover,
he's got the damn Super Bowl ring to prove it, man.
well,
Nobody can take
you
that
know,
away
how
from
many
him.
how many Pro Bowls was he in? How, you know, just just a dominant quarterback, because he's driven. And we go back to that passion thing. The move or die, and move or die came from. I found a study from Texas A&M that studied how far back did this need for us as human beings to move. And it goes back to when we were coming out of the primordial ooze, and that we were chasing the animals across the savannas. That all of a sudden became imprinted in our DNA that we needed to move.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we didn't move, we died. Now, think about it. We can't move north or south, east or west, up or down. We've been to the Mount Everest. We've been to the moon. We're going to Mars. We're been down to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. There's no physical place for us to move. But that doesn't stop us. Why is there so much heart disease? How many, all the diseases we're having, the weight problems, all the issues we're having? Because as a society, as a culture, as a human race, we stopped moving forward. We stopped pushing ourselves, grinding, doing the things that we talk about. In my book, I define a grinder as one who doesn't think enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to my crayons. I used to color so hard that my pictures became three-dimensional with all the crayon wax on it, right? Because enough wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so look at your talents. Look at what you do better than everybody else. And I call them your crayons, because we all understand crayons.
Yeah.
You know, there's the 8-pack and the 16 and the 48 and the 120 with the crayon sharpener in the back. Now, here's a cool thing. I'm an 8 crayon guy. I understand that. But I'm going to use my 8 crayons more than anybody else's. I'm going to outwork everybody. That's where I came from. I started hard. Johnny's already talked about some of the things I had to grow through. And that didn't stop me. That just gave me impetus to go on. Now, here's what bothers me, fellas, is that those people with 120 crayons in the box, and you look at their box, and 2/3 of them aren't even being used.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Their skills, their talents, their abilities, they're not even pushing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I need a mental day. I need, time off. No. If you're grinding, you're grinding. Hey, I've got to play 2 shows today. So what?
Congratulations.
Are you getting paid to play? You getting paid to play your
Nobody
guitar?
wants to listen to you twice.
Lucky you.
You're on your way.
So check this out, because I love this. You know, Brent, you and I talk a lot about mindset and reframing. You know, what does this make possible, as opposed to what just happened?
Was me. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What was me? And you know, we talk about, a lot of people talk about their job. It's a grind, right? It's a grind, and I use that term, and I use it in that exact context, like and in the sense of those words are in that order, but it's not in a negative light, right? It's in a positive light. But it's a grind. And so he just, in the book, he puts the definition of grind, and it's just like so perfect right here. Grind: to reduce to powder or small fragments by friction, to weaken or destroy gradually. That's the grind.
Some people think it's weakening and destroying me gradually. And we're
Right.
like, but the way we use it is like, no, we're weakening and destroying whatever obstacle is in our way to
Yeah.
have a breakthrough.
Yeah,
Right.
find those things, those problems in your life, those big things I can't get around. When you grind those down, then, and this is so airy fairy here, but you take those pieces and you grind them down to foundation for you to build your house on, your life, your passion, your career on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because you can't build a great career off a weak foundation. So take those problems, grind them down to gravel, and then go ahead and you have a firm foundation to build off of.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because a skyscraper was never built on an outhouse foundation.
That's right.
Think
That's
about it.
right.
You got to go ahead and have a huge foundation to go as high as you want to go.
See,
I
I
know
want
that
everybody
sounds
to.
all, that's all fine and dandy, but I came from that. I was a high school football coach. Hey, I'll go back. When I was 8 years old, I told my friend Nate Lau, I'm going to win a Super Bowl. Now, it took me 40 years to get there. Are you willing to grind for 40 years to get where you want to be?
Yeah.
All right.
That's right.
I moved 9 times, 9 different jobs, never got fired, and had one job interview my whole career. My first job coming out of college, I had an interview from that. Ever since then, everybody's come to get me because they wanted me part of their program because of what I brought. So when you're going out there every night and you're grinding, you're playing, you're writing or whatever it is, go ahead and do that work because somebody's going to see you and say, I want that person on my team because they don't whine, they don't complain, and they don't make excuses.
Right.
Right?
Hey,
Just
Chris, on
do
that
it.
note, would you share with us, because it sounds like, oh, wow, great. He won a Super Bowl ring. Like, well, but man, this was not a perfect journey in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not talking about the outside forces that were obstacles in your life, but let's just talk about, like, we had a long discussion one night about how you changed your coaching strategy and
Yeah.
how you were getting in your way. Would you share a little bit of that with us? Because these are lessons that he learned on his journey that kept the ascent going.
So in my first 11 years of coaching, and this is something that you can go ahead and hang your hat on, my career record was 33, 77, and 1. You hire me, you can assure yourself of 3 wins.
Yeah.
Think about it. 3 wins right here, buddy.
Right.
Hire me. Like I said, I only had 1 interview, okay? And people thought, well, this guy's going to finally come out of it. So we're going back to Arkansas here, okay?
Mhm.
So I get a job at Subiaco Academy, which is a boarding school in western central Arkansas run by Benedictine monks, okay?
Mhm.
And I've always said, God put you where you need to be.
Yep.
And so the weight room had a large fan. Well, it was a chicken house fan. Chicken
Okay.
house fans are covered on one side and are open all the way around. When I plugged it in, sparks came out. Now, Marion Carlisle did not raise a stupid kid, okay? Hey, I'm not going to pull that. I'm not going to get electrocuted and die in this situation. So when the boys went out to go ahead and throw the football around, this is my first day working with the players in July, I thought I'm going to switch the motor off. Well, here's a little thing for you people out there. There's no switches on chicken house fans, okay? They're plugged into the electricity and you have a switch somewhere else in the building. This was a fan. And I looked on the fan, I leaned in, and that stainless steel fan hit me here. I bent it at a 90-degree angle.
Oh.
It crushed my skull, knocked skull fragments into my brain, tore my brain. I didn't get knocked out. My mother said I'm hard-headed, and she was right. Didn't knock me out, okay? So they put it all, this is all titanium here, okay? And so from that point where my record was 33, 77, and 1, I had 1 tool in my toolbox. I was a yeller. I was actually called the designated yeller. I made up some of the words you say when you stub your toe. I made them up. And so I could intimidate a young athlete very quickly because I'm 6'1", I'm a big weight room guy. And so when the doctor was checking me out to go to practice starting in August, he said, okay, you can't lift weights. You'll strain intracranial pressure, going to kill you. All right. You can't
It clucked
sneeze.
you up is what it did. It clucked you up.
You can't hold a sneeze in, intracranial pressure, going to kill you. You can't have contact, intracranial pressure, and you can't yell. Oh,
what? That last part?
well, let me go back to my toolbox.
Yeah.
I open it up. My sledgehammer was gone. I had no other tools in there. That was it. There was nothing in there. So I went out to my first practice, and I could only speak at this level. And in the first time in my career, The athletes didn't rear back. They leaned forward because they wanted to listen. They wanted to hear. They wanted to get better. They wanted to be led. They didn't want to be bullied. They wanted a teacher. And from that point on, my record went to 251, 87, and 1. Won championships at the high school level, junior college level, 3 in the college level, and a Super Bowl because I changed the way I went. I had arrogance, ignorance, and inflexibility, the 3 deadly bullets that kill so many careers. And I had to go ahead and work through those 3. And it took God's grace to put a chicken house fan through my head to change me, because I wouldn't know. Brent, you laughing. I promise you. God takes you, and I know I'm getting up on my pulpit here, but God takes you and he pushes you, he kind of nudges you down your path. Well, when you're hard-headed and you're arrogant and you're ignorant and you're inflexible, he doesn't take a rolled up newspaper and put it, he takes a chicken house fan through my head. Because if that hadn't happened, if I hadn't gotten that gift, I would have not been able to change the way I was, because it was so rooted in my life. I had Vince Lombardi, I had Bobby Knight, I had Woody Hayes as the people I wanted to be. 2 things they had in common: championship coaches
and
yelling.
volume. Yeah.
And so if I yelled louder, my team would win. By the grace of God. And too many people look at that. Oh, woe is me. I can't do that. No, you're being tested. And that's great. Because people don't waste tests on people that aren't going to go ahead and you don't care about. You're being tested to see how much you're willing to put up with, and how are you going to find that way over that wall, under the wall, around the wall. So when you look at the hard times, that's okay. When I was a GA at Arkansas, I made $400 a month. Rent was $450. I only got paid 10 months of the year. All right. But because of that job, it got me into the other jobs that took me along my path to accomplish my dream 40 years after I made it.
Man, I think taking that sledgehammer out of your toolbox, a lot of people would just be like, all right, well, that's it. Luck of the draw. That's my excuse that I get to use. Russell Wilson, I'm not even 5'11". That's my excuse when things go wrong and not to try. Me, you're talking about you singing. Like, I can feel your pain, brother. I'm not a singer either. And so what am I doing? I'm in the music business, and I don't really sing or play. So built-in excuses all day long. We're all excuse factors. Like, we have them all day long, all we want them. But that's no excuse. All your excuses are no excuse,
That's right. Excuses are like butts. Everyone's got one. They all stink. That's right.
Exactly.
Here's something scary, fellas, and this is some research I've done on this. We have 60 to 80,000 thoughts going through our head in a single day. 60 to 80,000. That's a lot. All right. Here's the problem. 80% of those thoughts we're putting through our head are negative.
Yeah.
We're feeding ourselves negative information, and the same message is going through 94% of the time. Now, if you're around somebody that 80% of their time, they were telling you, you suck, you can't do it, you are worthless, this is a waste of time, you wouldn't stand next to them.
Right.
You would take them out of your phone, you'd block them.
Yep.
But there you go. You look in the mirror and you go, oh, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. Hey, I got the face for radio. All right. And so we get to do this. I know who I am. I've got 8 crayons. That's all I got. But I'm going to use them better and harder and longer than anybody else is willing to. That's how I got my career.
And that's so true for creatives, for, when we can look at artists that who are like Hall of Famers, all timers that aren't great at everything. They don't have the box full of crayons, but they know, there are a couple of things that they do world class. Same thing with some writers, like, this person's a lyricist, or this person's great at, I was listening to an interview with Tom Douglas. Like, he's really great at being empathetic and feeling the emotions of who he's writing with and that sort of thing. Like, people have these different skill sets. Very few people have the 128, crayon with a sharpener in the box and use all of them effectively. Like, you can have a good career on a couple crayons if you just really hone them.
Yeah. Right. And for you, so I think about climbers, and I think about, who are artists, who are songwriters. And the one tool that they have is, well, I write songs, or I'm an artist. I go out and I play live and I do this. And then they're struggling to grow that business to a place where they can do that full time, do their passion full time, do what they were born to do full time. And where we come from so much on this podcast is just constantly showing people and encouraging people, like, look what happened here. All of a sudden, we had from 2021 to 2020 with 3,100 more artists that got paid at least $50,000 just in streaming, just from Spotify. 3,100 more artists. We did not sign 3,100 artists in 1 year, and 3,100 signed artists did not come to fruition and start to make money in these are indie artists that are figuring it out, just like you are. But you have to put other tools in the toolbox. And it was easy to a degree when it was just, hey, you have a lot of talent, the record label's going to sign you, and they're going to handle the marketing, and they're going to handle all that other stuff, and you just got to show up and they tell you what to do. But guess what? That also comes in the context of an industry that's extremely opaque. It's very shady. There are a lot more horror stories out there than there are success stories, right? It comes with a very, very, even for the record labels, only 5% of their artists made any money, meaning 90. I mean, in what friggin' business is it a successful business model? 95% of the shit we make loses money. I mean, that is just, it's astoundingly unbalanced. But now you can do it for yourself, but you have to know that you don't have certain tools, and that if you grind on those tools that you don't have, because you are a smart person and you will figure it out, but you have to persevere through the learning curve part of it, which just always blows because it doesn't, I remember when I first got Pro Tools, it was, I had sort of made a half step from analog to digital using what they called ADATs back in the day, which was still tape, right? So it was still tape, Chris. It was basically videotape, and you were recording digitally to videotape. So, it wasn't that I was a purist, but I knew how to record analog, and Pro Tools was just it because it was this new tool, and it took me a long frickin' time to learn how to sort of master that tool. And I probably still only maybe know like 75% of the capabilities of that tool, because I'm not a professional mixer or engineer. But the problem for me was I couldn't move at the speed of my creativity, right? I was being hindered by the new tool that was supposed to be better in the beginning, because I had to learn it, because I wasn't it wasn't a muscle memory, man. I had to think about it. And that just gets in the way of your momentum. But you know what? I know so many, even analog purists now, that are like, wow, Pro Tools is really the way to do it. You know what I mean? Like, because it's just so much easier once you learn how to do it. So, for your marketing, like, you've got to grind and figure out a way. And what we want to give you on the podcast are the fundamentals. And you talked a lot about fundamentals in the book, Chris. When this happens, I can't remember what the steps are, but the last step was then the fundamentals break down. And when the fundamentals break down, everything goes sideways, right? And that is the short answer for your key to success. And that was my God. That was who just came in for a kiss and a belt and a microphone. But
Johnny, let me ask you one thing. And Johnny, you were talking about going through and the growing pains of changing the way you thought. Did you do that all by yourself, or did you have somebody with you?
No, I had somebody with me. So here's what I did, because I didn't want to. It was too big of a task to do it myself. So I had a very good friend of mine at the time who was a ninja in Pro Tools, and he lived in Tennessee at the time. I lived in Los Angeles. He lived in Nashville. So I would fly him out, and I looked at it like paid coaching, right? I would fly him out, and because we were always looking for an excuse to get together and hang out and have cocktails and have a good time, because we just, we're friends. I would pay him the bro rate to come out, but I paid him to like mix my stuff with the specific condition of I get to be like up your ass. Like, hey, hold on a second. What did you do right there? What was that keystroke that you did that just made this magic happen? Well, here's what I did. And so that's how I like really learn the tool, from coach.
Okay, so you had to have you invested in yourself by
Yeah.
bringing somebody else. Brent, you have people that you bring in that help you with this stuff. I had people, because we can't do this. The task is too big to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
And so you have to not only know your crayons, okay, what makes you different, what makes you special, but you have to also understand your who.
Yeah.
Who are the people that are with you? And I talk about a quote from Al Capone. And Al Capone was asked about the people you hang around. And Al Capone would said, I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100. Now, they all equal $1. But think about it. If you're going to carry $1 in your pocket, do you want 100 pennies or do you want 4 quarters?
Right.
All right. So those 4 quarters have great value. But the thing those 4 quarters have to have, they've got to be able to tell you your truth.
Yeah.
Not something your friend who helped you with recording. He didn't have an alternative motive that, hey, if I get Johnny doing this, I get to make more money off of him. No. If I can help Johnny move along the path, if I can help Brent move along the path, I've helped my friend along. And if you turn something back to your friend and he listened to it and it was a piece of crap, you can, hey, Johnny, good job. No, Johnny, you didn't have this turned on. You didn't have this turned on.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you got to eat a lot of crap along the way, but understand those people who are there that aren't that 80% of negative, but are those people that are willing to say, hey, step back a second.
Yeah.
Think about this. Because like I said, I'm going to reiterate, you've got to have help in this climb of yours, in your passion. You can't do it it'd be great if we could. But it's not that way today. And so
you know what?
Okay,
at the end of the
ask
day,
for help.
when you do something really that is difficult and you do it really, really well, that's the fascination, right? Especially as a performer, as a songwriter, that's where people are blown away. It's the pride isn't in, I did it myself and I'm going to take 20 extra years to learn it myself. Man, I just want to get to the part where I can do the thing really, really good, and make it work like that. And you're right. Like, I remember one of those.
I don't want to do it good, Johnny. I want to do it great.
Yeah, that's
if we're going to do something, let's do it better than it's ever been done.
I remember like one of those moments with Kelly in there. I had switched from just because I'm recording like in a house now with kind of a makeshift studio. And there's this company called Line 6 that had like these digital guitar sounds. This is before we had these new things that are out now that are like amp modelers, which are really, really good, which a lot of people use. It was kind of the very first sort of amp modeler, but it was all digital. And sonically, they sound good by themselves, but they were thin. They sucked. So out there with Kelly and we're mixing, I'm like, where the hell are my guitar sounds? Like, why aren't my guitars coming through? And he's like, because you use that damn amp modeler instead of putting a mic in front of a speaker. Back to fundamentals. Move some freaking air, and then your sound's going to be fat and take up the space in your mix that you want it to be. And I was like, damn. I just got schooled on that. Take a note. You know what I mean?
That's okay.
Last time I ever used one of those friggin' things.
That's okay. That's okay that you got schooled. And you've got to be open enough. And I write in the book about how I'm the king of stupid questions. If I don't know, I'm going to ask, because it may be that single piece of the puzzle that puts things, all of them together. And I tell a story about when Peyton Manning had just been drafted. And, he got drafted on like a Friday or Saturday, and on Monday he was back in the building with the Colts playbook. Okay, that's the kind of worker he was. So I was walking through the halls and I saw somebody in the film room, and it was moving the film back and forth. And
this is, hold on, contextually, this is at UT, right?
It's at University of Tennessee. Yes, I'm sorry. And
so he gets drafted from University of Tennessee. He's now on the Colts, and he's got the playbook. He's coming back into UT to do what?
To do film work. Okay. He wanted to go ahead. And so he was watching a safety, and he kept rolling.
I love this story.
And I asked a question to him. I said, simply, what you doing?
Yeah.
He said, I'm trying to find this safety's give, because everybody has a give. It's like, when they talk about the Beatles, that when they later in their career, when they couldn't hear themselves, that Ringo could watch John or Paul, and they would, their body language would bring him into the next switch. All right. Because he couldn't hear him.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody has a give, whether you're a musician or whether you're a football player. And so he was watching his safety to figure out when he went from cover 2 to cover 3. And I know I'm getting deep in football here, but it's a shift of the defensive backs. And it really helps a quarterback to understand where people are going to be so he can throw the ball.
Make
And
a better decision. Yeah.
And so he was looking for this minute point. But it helped me understand that when I was coaching, you have to find the little things. And Johnny was talking about fundamentals. I have in my teaching hierarchy how to, how fast, how much. How to is all about fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
And when your fundamentals, it doesn't matter how fast you can play the guitar, all right, or how fast you can write songs, or how many you can write. Once fundamentals break down, that sound and those notes won't come together.
Yeah.
So understand your fundamentals: how to, how fast, how much. And when you get that right, everything flows and things can be really special. But that's part of the process that we have in sports, in music. It doesn't matter, or in life.
Yeah.
You've got to go ahead and keep everything in your fundamentals so you know what you're doing within your crayon box. Now, you have your who. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say with the fundamentals, sometimes songwriters try to impress you. I can write a song right now. I can write a song in 3 minutes. I've written 5,000 songs this month. Whatever. And it's like, I don't care. That's not impressive if your fundamentals aren't there. If there are 5,000 amazing songs, then I am completely impressed.
Right.
But I'm more impressed by one great song than I am by, I've written 500 mediocre ones. Okay.
Yeah.
So if your fundamentals not there, it doesn't matter how fast you're doing it. That's not impressive to the pros at how many songs you've written or how fast you write. I don't care. That's not how I measure success. It's like putting up a lot of yards, but you're not scoring.
Yeah.
We put up a lot of yards, 2 plays in a row, and then we turned it over. Great. It's like, I'm not impressed. That's not helpful.
We didn't get there. Yeah.
Exactly,
I mean, it's like, so that give that you're talking about that Peyton Manning was looking for, you could compare that to a tell in poker. They call it a tell in poker, right? And that's it. And so just finish that story. How long was he in that film room for?
He was in there for hours. He eventually came by, and I said, and he stopped. He looked in the office. I said, "What was it?" He goes, "His shoulder." He turned his shoulder when he was going to cover 3 just before the snap. And so when he saw the shoulder turn, he knew he was going to cover 3.
So now he knows not to throw it in this part of this area.
Right. So I could throw it away. He gave his hand away. He got 2 kings and I got 2 aces, because I know I'm going to throw to Harrison right down the seam because he's dropping out, How about that? But that's what made Peyton Manning great. He wasn't a great athlete. He just outthought everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When we played them in Indy or we played them in Denver, when he went out there, the crowd was quiet. Yeah. And he would go through and he would call plays. He'd look at what you're doing and go, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Forget the play I called in the huddle. We're doing this.
Yeah. Here comes the audible.
This. And that's now, on the road, it was tough. We go, I'm going to go to the Super Bowl. First play of the Super Bowl he was with the Broncos. Ball zips by his head because they couldn't hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. The sound was so much. They thought, well, we're outside. The Broncos are supposed to win. So Seattle's not going to be there. Well, they just happened to be in the Seattle section. And the Seattle Seahawks did bring a bunch of fans to New York. And they didn't hear the switch. The ball zips by. We get a safety. They kicked us and we won the game by a lot. But,
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't Peyton's fault, but it was just, it changed his dynamic that he couldn't call plays on the line of scrimmage. So that's the football story.
It's like it's the 12th man, right? The crowd when it's like when it's so loud.
Yeah, they are dominant and they are amazing. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's like being in Knoxville. 104,000.
Yeah,
and you're playing in Neyland, which is like a coffee can, and the noise just circles in there.
Yeah,
and Paul Allen built that stadium in Seattle that the music, the sound would go down. Now a concert, not very good at all unless you're on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you're up in the stands, terrible because the noise is not coming down to you.
So reflective.
Back around. And so it's built for football, not for concerts. I saw Kenny Chesney there, saw U2 there, and it was one of those things that standing on the floor, it was great because everything came back to you. All right.
Yeah.
Just sitting in the bleacher, I was up in a box for U2 and it was just terrible.
Yeah.
The noise, you lost the noise.
Yep.
So you're talking about the fundamental and then the who Is that where you're moving
how
on
to,
to?
how fast.
How to and how fast, and you were moving on
Yeah.
to another point. We stepped on you. So,
No,
Sorry.
that's right. And then how much? But
Right.
no, and we're talking about the what, and then the who, are the who's there to help you, and then you have the why. What's your end point?
Mhm.
Why are
Yeah.
you doing this? Are you we talk about that 60 to 80,000 messages, and I stopped Johnny, and I'm sorry I interrupted you there, but let's stop using the word good.
Yeah.
Let's not be good. Why, if you're going to do it, if you're going to go ahead and give your passion, if your life and everything, don't be good.
Yeah.
My manager, my neighbor, Dennis Petty, and his wife Diana, they're amazing chefs. And when Dennis is working, there's no good about it.
Yeah, that's right.
It's amazing. All right. He doesn't. If you say it's good, he's going to look at you like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Because his standards are high. And when he's working with Josh Roy, it's the same way. When he's working with me, it's the same way. It's the way that you go about your work that makes it essential to you. If you just want to be a good player, fine. Be good. Don't bother me with it.
Right.
If you want to be great, then go ahead and give me a call. And we're going to talk about being great every day.
Yeah.
There's a movie that's called Whiplash.
Oh, yeah.
As drummer, okay.
My
And
wife
J.K.
could not
Simmons
handle
does
that.
better than we do.
We
And it
started
talks-
watching it, and my wife had to bail out.
it's
She was like,
amazing.
I can't.
Yeah,
I was like,
hey,
it's it. It's on. Yeah.
But this guy drives. Everybody misses. Oh, he's so mad. Yeah. He's looking for the next Charlie Parker.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he tells us a story about Charlie Parker, and then he goes to a cut session and he's playing because he's a young kid and he thought he was great, and he was so bad. Joe Jones, drummer, throws a cymbal at him.
Mhm.
Okay. Now the story says, the movie says at his head. The story is actually at his feet. It's like, stop that crap and get out of here. Now the story goes that Joe Jones could have told Charlie Parker, "Yeah, good job.
Mhm.
That was good." And Charlie Parker would have left and went, "Yeah, good job. I did good." But because he was told the truth, for the next year, he went out and worked it, and he came back a year later and blew the roof off and became Charlie Bird Parker at that moment, because somebody told him the truth.
Right.
Not that he was good. So when we're talking about this positive messaging to yourself, hey, if it's good, that wasn't good enough. How can we get better? How can we take it to the next step? When I was working at Tennessee or at USC or in Seattle or Trinity Valley Community College or in a high school setting, I never shot for good. Good wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good's going to make you 33, 77, and 1. And that's not even good, but that's 3 wins. But 251, 87, and 1 with all those, rings, and Johnny saw the box and everything. And they sit in a safe deposit box. I don't wear that stuff. I pull it out when special people are coming by and they're into this.
If you wore all your rings, your knuckles would be dragging on the ground, bro.
You think, Yogi Berra had a picture I saw the other day. He had his 10 World Series rings on.
Whew. Oh my gosh.
Bill Russell, how many championships did Bill Russell win? All right. John Wooden. Now those guys never accepted good enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
They were driven to be great. Now, if you want to be great, then push yourself. It's okay to be uncomfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
That's right.
Every day when those feet touch, say 2 things. Thank you. Thank Lord for letting me go one more day to push myself a little bit farther. And then before you go to bed that night, you can't go to sleep because you're so excited about the next day.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait because I'm on fire with this.
Yeah.
And that's one way I look, that's the way inside. Now, Johnny knows me as a different person because I'm a listener. I don't have to be the center. I like to be the peripheral because I'm a watcher, and this comes from coaching. All right.
Oh, you and Johnny are going to get along great then.
I want to hear you.
Do you see why we're friends, Brent?
Yeah. Oh, you're a listener. Okay, I get it now. I get it.
But this is what I do when I'm my motivational person. In that when people ask me, hey, how can I make this better? Well, here's how you do it. You work harder than everybody else. You ask people for help. You persevere and you're resilient. You don't let stuff stop you. All right. You find it as a gift. I was diagnosed with cancer. All right. Oh no. Okay. Hey, What a great gift. It helped me balance my life because I was spending 90% of my time in my work and 10% with my family. I just had a son he was just a year old when I was diagnosed. And I thought, I don't know how good of a father I want to be, but I know I can be the best to him. Right? Because I wasn't going to give up. So they stuck the needle in me. They said, you're not going to be able to work because I was given a 40% chance to survive. All right. It was late enough. I John Wayne through all the diet, the symptoms apparently. Sweating, tired, I was working 12-hour days. I was going to be tired.
Right.
And they said, you're going to lose all your hair, which, I didn't have great hair to begin with. So, not a big loss. And I didn't lose it all. And you're not
we'll just see about that is what you said, right?
2 weeks later, I got a call from Pete Carroll. I was in Tennessee when I was diagnosed. And the University of Tennessee Cancer Group, just thank God for you. They put me on the right meds and everything that got me, with the grace of God and the grace of medicine, just got me to where I could be. But I went to work and I worked 12-hour days. All right. And I didn't tell anybody. It was between Pete Carroll and I.
Wait. Before that, though, you had a really big opportunity that you were going to leave UT for, right? And then they found out that you got diagnosed.
Yeah. And I was the top number guy on their list.
and they walked away.
Cotton Bowl that year. And so I could stay at home and get 2 chemo sessions, or I could go to a bowl game, and there's nothing to do at a bowl game. You just kind of wait for the game. You walk through. You've already done a week or 2 of practice, so everything's already in the box. And so I stayed at home. So these coaches were all talking and everything, and they're lifting me up. They're saying, "Oh yeah," because that team had come, and the new coach came to watch Tennessee practice in Dallas there. And they're talking me up, saying, "Oh yeah, he's great. You need to hire him. This is great." And my good friend Condridge Holloway came in, who was a director of football operations and a quarterback from UT, and came in. They said, "Yeah, we're talking about Carlisle." He said, "Yeah, too bad about the cancer. That school never talked to me again."
Oh wow!
All right, they gave up on me. Now Pete Carroll, during the interview when he called me and said, "Hey, you want to come out?" I said, "Well, I got to tell you, I've been diagnosed with cancer." There's a pause, and he goes, "Is that going to change you as a coach?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Can you be here on Monday?" All right. And that was Friday. So I got my chemo that day. We packed on Saturday. I got on a plane on Sunday. I was in the weight room on Monday. Okay. A year later, I'm cancer free. 5 years later, or I was in remission. 5 years later, I was cancer free.
Awesome.
Okay. Never missed a day of work. Never, the doctors at UT carried me and made sure that I could get my flights in and get in. And I'd come in late on Friday, and they'd go ahead and shoot me up. And then I would wait. And then Sunday I'd fly back and nobody knew but Pete and I, because I didn't want anybody to feel sorry for me. That's the worst thing to do, to have people around you. "Oh, are you okay? Do you need to rest?" No.
And then you're like, I guess I do.
Say, "How you doing?"
Yeah.
And I'd say, "I'm fine. I'm fine." Okay. Now, did I feel like throwing up? Yeah. Was I tired? Yeah. I was giving myself Neupogen shots in the morning to boost my white blood cell count, so I wouldn't, I'd be able to go along and get my next dose. And then I went through radiation, and Pete changed the meeting schedules so I could get back from my radiation session, which was 5 days a week for 8 weeks, to go ahead and get back for that. Okay.
Wow.
And so, we're working together. And like I said, a year later, I'm in remission. Okay. But God gave that to me so I could find my balance.
I just want to
cut my head in half so I could go ahead and be to be a better person, be a better teacher. And everybody's going, "Oh no, you've been afflicted. You and Job are on the same path."
Yeah.
But here's the thing. When you have these problems, I'm going to repeat it again. You're being tested. And being tested is okay. And you can pray, "Oh God, why are you doing this to me?" Hey, the teacher is always quiet when he's given a test.
Yeah.
All right. He's seeing how you respond to that. So when you're going through those hard times, it's like, okay, he trusts me that I can do, because God will never put anything on your shoulder you can't handle. I love the dog.
Bravo. It's like
commentary of the day right there. But think about that.
Yeah.
Those gifts that you get, sometimes they look like they're wrapped in barbed wire.
Well, and
find it.
I think, with your book title, Move or Die, I think of how your coaching thing after the fan incident, right? You had to move. You had to move around, like the path is shifting. You thought you were going to take the path of yelling okay, I got to keep moving though, because if I just stop, career dies, right?
Yeah,
So I
you
got to move
evolve.
around like a
Yeah,
shark. If it stops moving, it dies. Okay, I got to move around this. Okay, well, now I have this health issue, but I gotta move around it. I mean, you have to deal
right,
with it. You got to move through it, but it changes your path. You don't just stop and go, I guess that's it. I think
right,
about times
right.
when when I had to go do sales for a while, like after I'd already had songs on the radio or song on the radio and had, publishing deals and stuff. And then there came a wall where it's like, I got to go do some sales stuff. I had to, how do I keep moving? Like the music stuff did not stop. It hit a wall. I had to like shake my head and go, what happened there? Okay. How do I now immediately like, okay, how do I find cracks in this wall so I can keep moving around it? And eventually led to, oh, I can do blogging and podcasting and what ended up becoming Songwriting Pro, which is like a different, now it's such a valuable part of my business and helped me get back into the music business. And it's a different way of doing that. And it's through that it's presented opportunities that would not have even been on my radar if I just said, I just got to get a publishing deal and I just got to write songs and that's all, that's it. No, let me
Hmm.
keep moving. Right.
And we talk about vehicles,
Mm-hmm.
and for so long of my career, because you thought your focus in life was writing songs and getting, but all of a sudden you figure out that was just a vehicle
Mm-hmm.
for me to help people along their path. I thought my whole thing was about winning championships.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And I'm sitting on the plane on the tarmac. We had just won the Super Bowl. Less than 24 hours, less than 12 hours after that, we're sitting on the airplane and I'm working on the program that we're going to start doing in April. This is January or February.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I'm finishing up the program. I'm doing this on the airplane after we just won. I'm not sitting there talking and letting it all flow. This was a dream I had for 40 years
Mm-hmm.
to win a Super Bowl. And so how do I celebrate? I'm getting ready for the next one. By the way, we did go. We got beat by the Patriots, but we did go again.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. I sat back and looked around and I thought, maybe it's not about winning championships. So I really did a deep dive into myself and I had to understand who I was.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How am I built? What's this? And I found out it was a vehicle. My coaching was a vehicle to help other people to obtain their optimal life, their goals, their dreams. The same thing Johnny works on, Brent, the same thing
Mm-hmm.
you work on. Okay. Maybe this path, the coaching thing, we're winning a lot and that's cool. But maybe my real calling, really the coaching was a vehicle that helped me help Russell Wilson become this,
Mm-hmm.
or Marshawn Lynch become this. These guys are God's gift. They were gifted by God in certain ways. But everybody, like I said earlier, we all need to be lifted.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yep.
it's kind of like the championships become the result of what you're doing. They're not the
Yes.
goal, but it's almost a side effect. Seek ye first the kingdom, all these other stuff be added to you. Like
Mm.
help men achieve their absolute potential.
Right.
And boy, that sure makes winning easier. And that just kind of comes along with it.
Hey, I
Right.
expect to win everything I do, though.
Mm-hmm.
With my book, I expected it to be a bestseller and become a bestseller. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'd never written a book before. I had 600 pages of manuscript that I gave in, and it turned out to be 186 pages. So there's like 2 books laying on the floor right now. But I had an amazing, again, who's your who? Well, I have Katie Rios, who is the greatest editor ever. She rode in on her unicorn and shot holes but the nicest, just cutting out, hey, that's great. Maybe your next book, but it doesn't fit this narrative. Boom, cut it out. And after after her edits and everything that she cut stuff out, it made total sense.
Yeah.
It's just amazing what she did. And my stuff with my webpage with Cecilia Roy and Snowdrop Creative, she is amazing and set up my webpage. And it has just brought so many people in to my world that are having the same problem. I'm stuck. I can do so much more. How do I get past this point?
Yeah. That's awesome. And one thing I think about moving or dying too, and you talked about it earlier, just like all the health issues, like especially going on in the Western world, the obesity and people aren't moving. And I've thought of this lately too about, so much of depression is a sense of progress helps you feel good, right? A sense
Yeah.
I'm making progress towards something. And that gives people, not only like the dopamine and all that stuff, but also
Mhm.
like motivation. And I feel like
And
this is
hope.
going somewhere. There's hope. So in a way, move or die. Like if you have something you're chasing, something you're making and a feeling of progress, it's like, my dad's before, and I'm kind of the same way. It's like I can sit at a traffic jam and get there in 30 minutes, or I can take the side road and get there in 45 minutes. I'd rather take the 45 minutes. Why? Because I'm moving,
I'm moving.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
I'm getting somewhere. Even if it's going to take longer, I don't care. I'm moving.
Yeah, yeah, that's the total truth. And that whole idea that it's in our genetics, it's already proven our need to move.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we don't move, then we have depression and all the issues, physical problems. So if you're not feeling good, start to move physically. That's good. Start it there, but also set your goals. Now, I had the dream 40 years away, but I also had goals in between that helped me stay on path.
Right.
And those are those short-term goals that help me become, I want to sing on the Grand Ole Opry. Okay, boom, there it is on top. All right. And now I have my goals of how I get there.
Right.
And when you accomplish those goals and you achieve a dream, and that's how I talk to people, you accomplish those goals. And so make sure those goals are attainable. And you might find that the goals are taking you somewhere else that maybe I am different than what I thought I was. And that's a great learning experience we have when we learn who we are. And that's the first thing we got to understand: who we are, what are our traits, and the people that are around us. Those are the three things that really, if you want to become great, know who you are, understand what your crayons are, what your great traits are, and then who are the people around us that are lifting us, not pointing us back, because there's too many people out there that want to see you fail.
Yeah.
There's no saying that 50% of the people don't care about your problem. The other 50 are glad you got it.
Yeah.
and so there's too many people out there that, because if you become successful, that diminishes them, who they are.
Right.
And so they'll fight to hold you back because they
Yep,
don't want
haters
you to
right
achieve,
there.
because it's comfortable to have that buddy sitting down there sharing my problems.
Right.
But if you climb that ladder, shoot, you're way up there and I'm sitting down here, and people go, "Hey, weren't you and Brent friends at one time?" Yeah. We were, but now he's successful, and I'm still sitting here telling everybody the sad stories.
Exactly. Yeah. It
That's
shines
called
the
the
Find
spotlight.
gap.
those people that are there to lift you up that ladder and help you get to that next place, so you can help somebody else come with you.
Amen.
That's the gap. So, Chris, where can everybody find you? Where can they find you? Where can they find this book?
Well, you can find me at, it's on my website, www.thecoachcarlisle.com. And that's CARLISLE, thecoachcarlisle.com. My book is on there. You buy it on there, I'll sign it and I'll send it out to you. I pay for the shipping and everything because I want you to have that book. You can get it on Amazon.com. It's cheaper there, but it's not signed. So,
Yep.
if you don't want to diminish the value of your book with my signature in it, well, then go.
And how about your social media?
I couldn't tell you all the stuff I'm on, but I'm on. It's the Coach Carlisle or Coach C, and it's on all the Instagram. It's on LinkedIn. It's on Facebook, and it's on Twitter. So
Right
that's
on.
all. Cecilia Roy did that for me. She's amazing.
Cool.
Right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Man, I enjoyed this book. I really did. There's a lot of value bombs in this book, and it got me motivated. I'm already motivated, but it got me more motivated.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that, and for you. And I'm going to strongly advise that one way or the other, whether you go to your website or whether you go to Amazon to get it and get unstuck. Everybody's got hurdles they got to get over. You got to be a better songwriter. You got to be a great songwriter. You got to, if you've got great music, it doesn't matter unless enough people hear it enough times to make a difference for them. Otherwise, your organic approach to doing this with your music isn't going to cut it.
No.
That's me telling you the truth. Not going to cut it. Okay, ask Guns N' Roses. You don't have to like them, but they still got the best-selling debut album of all time that almost never was,
Right.
because nobody heard it. They were a day away from being dropped before they spun that Welcome to the Jungle video on MTV, and it changed the world. Proof positive that all these people enough to set that kind of a sales record for a debut album, responded to that music when they heard it in such a profound way, but they wouldn't have heard it if it wasn't out there. And so it's not enough that you're creative. You have to get out there. And like, we keep preaching on the podcast, man, believe it or not, the cool thing about this is if you embrace and grind your way through the uncomfortableness, the unfamiliarity, the foreignness, how it's foreign to you, of how to market your music and digitally, and you stick to the fundamentals, it actually becomes a creative, artistic itch that you don't, to your point, Chris, you don't do it because you got to. You do it because you get to. Like, I can't, that's just as exciting as writing that song that is going to touch people, and then figuring out a way to make that song touch people after it's been written and recorded. It's the same dopamine hit, man. It's awesome. So get this book, Coach C. Thank you so much for
thank you
for spending the time. And that brings us to the end of another Killer Climb episode, guys. This podcast exists because we want you to win, move or die. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.